Who does this? Who behaves like this?
Who has doubted me over the past decade about this evil woman now needs to eat some humble pie.
My sources are saying that William no longer recognizes his brother. He basically says he doesn't know who this kid is. Hey, who the heck are you? And yes, they do blame Meghan.
Meghan Markle is threatening to sue the British royal family and Prince William if her titles are removed.
Harry has become petulant. He's become vengeful. He's very angry at all times. And William's just kind of like...
3 royal biographers have now made the same claim publicly. They say that when William becomes king, he plans to remove the royal titles from Harry, Meghan, and their 2 children, pushing them even further from the royal picture. Then, during one of Britain's biggest breakfast radio shows, William seemed to back up those claims without directly criticizing anyone. He did it through silence.
Can we talk a little bit about Catherine? Because I just wanted to say how well she did in Italy. She's just come back. That was her first foray out there since her recovery. Yeah. How proud of you are.
So proud. I'm very, very proud. She's been amazing. She's been through so much in the last couple of years, particularly.
During nearly 3 hours of relaxed personal radio, William mentioned only one person who was not with him that day. His grandmother, the late Queen. He spoke about his wife, named all 3 of his children, mentioned his late mother, his father, and even shared the song he listens to when he's having a rough morning.
Tell you for a fact that my sources that work under William and Catherine tell me that she is not a topic of conversation. She is not on their radar.
Oh, okay.
Harry and Meghan, what they do is not on their radar. They are not concerned about it.
Yet throughout the entire broadcast, 4 names were completely absent. His brother, his brother's wife, and their 2 children. Many royal watchers do not see that as a mistake. In royal circles, what is left unsaid can sometimes speak louder than anything said out loud. The setting made the moment even more noticeable. This was Heart Breakfast, Britain's biggest commercial radio breakfast show, reaching millions of listeners every week and drawing a huge national audience. This was not a formal interview about royal duties or policy. It was a casual, friendly conversation broadcast live from a Cornish cafe.
Can be a little bit tricky with names and that kind of thing. So just simply Amanda is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yes, I'll lose my title this morning. I was hoping for Dame, but it's not come yet, William. I'll talk to you about that
His
later.
Royal Highness.
His Royal Highness.
A first for the station. The show was hosted by Amanda Holden and Jamie Theakston on the eve of a bank holiday, making it one of the most relaxed platforms available. Everyone involved knew exactly how many people would be listening, and William chose that moment, that audience, and that highly personal setting to present himself as open, approachable, and family-focused.
Grippy cream. You can't beat clotted cream. Now, Prince William, what do you do? Think carefully.
I love that I'm the authority on that.
Here's the big debate. Scones or scones? Scones. I just feel like if you say it really fast, people are like, yeah, you said it the right way. But he's asked about this. And this is, again, one of those cute, quirky, safe morning show questions. What goes first? Your clotted cream or your jam? I love the fact that he's definitely trying to distance himself as the expert on the debate. He brings up his grandmother.
While certain names never came up even once, William came across incredibly well during the interview. He was relaxed, charming, and sounded a little worn out after passionately supporting Aston Villa during their big European victory in Istanbul earlier that week. He talked football, weighed in on the famous cream versus jam debate, and even joked about rushing through the school run. He shared that when he needs a boost, he turns to "You Got the Love" by Candy Staton. By most accounts, it was a strong performance that made him seem relatable and easy to connect with.
Is this normally the time when you're doing the school run?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the children are on their way to school. They are listening this morning. I find music for me is so personal to how you're feeling and what you describe.
Yeah.
So it's almost like saying to me, like, who's your favorite person in the world? I can't answer that.
No,
but
you can't.
I love dance songs.
That is exactly why many people noticed what was missing. The silence did not feel like someone forgetting a detail. To some royal watchers, It felt more like a carefully drawn boundary around which family members were included in the story being told. Few people believe an appearance like this happens without planning. The royal family is known for carefully managing major media appearances. A future king does not step onto one of Britain's largest breakfast shows without preparation, guidance, and a clear idea of what topics will be discussed. The personal stories, the family moments, the music choices, and the lighthearted jokes were all selected for a reason. Because of that, some observers argue that the names left unmentioned were just as significant as the stories that were included. William never needed to mention his brother directly for listeners to be aware of the ongoing distance between them. The family picture he described included his wife, his children, the late Queen, and other close relatives. Yet one relationship remained noticeably absent. For many following the royal story, that absence has stood out ever since the family divide first became public.
When William does take to the throne, we're going to see a much harder line being taken by him, a much harder approach. Prince William is a man who does not suffer fools.
3 royal biographers have been laying out the same warning with names, dates, and quotes. They suggest William may want to make that family gap permanent. Start with Tom Sykes, who wrote in the Daily Beast. Sykes is not some random online voice. He has covered the royals for nearly 2 decades. His headline said, "Prince William plots bonfire of royal titles when he becomes king." That phrase hit hard. A bonfire of titles. According to Sykes, William could use letters patent early in his reign to remove HRH styles and princely status from non-working royals. Not just one person, not just 2, potentially all of them.
At the moment, Charles has made Harry a Councillor of State.
Terrible.
It's a problem. So what William's going to have to do, and this is what I think William will do when he takes the throne, now this will obviously hinge on Harry still being married to that woman, Meghan Markle. So this all depends on that. If Harry is still married to Meghan, William will strip the titles.
The column named Prince Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, Prince Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet. That is not vague palace gossip. That is a printed list, naming names. Now, royal stories get floated all the time, and plenty disappear fast. But this one caught attention because, after it ran, there was no strong public denial from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace. No loud correction. No major pushback. The story was simply left standing, and that matters because the legal tool being discussed was not imaginary. According to the piece, letters patent had already been used by the king to remove Prince Andrew's HRH style and princely status. That detail changes the whole mood. For years, many royal watchers believed titles were too difficult to touch, like they were locked behind old rules and endless paperwork. But once that legal route appeared to work, the conversation shifted fast. Suddenly, the idea of changing royal titles did not sound like wild talk anymore. It sounded like a tested move from the very top of the family. And that is why this story landed with such force. Once that move happened, the old argument that nobody can actually do this started to lose strength. The debate was no longer about whether the mechanism existed. People had already seen it used. The focus quickly shifted to 2 new questions. Who could be affected next, and when? That is where several royal biographers began pointing in the same direction. Just days before William's heart breakfast appearance, Tom Sykes published another report. This time, the focus was on the rumored reconciliation effort, often referred to as Project Thaw. Sykes had previously questioned whether the reported outreach between Charles and Harry was genuine, but in this article, he suggested the situation appeared more substantial. He pointed to what he described as coordinated messaging coming from both Harry's team and the King's team, arguing that the story had moved beyond simple speculation. The idea caught attention because it suggested both sides were sending similar signals at the same time. If that interpretation is correct, it would indicate movement between the king and Harry. Meanwhile, William's office remained publicly quiet, adding another layer to the ongoing discussion. Then comes Tom Bower, whose views often draw significant attention in royal circles. Bower's publisher released Betrayal, the follow-up to his earlier book, Revenge. Unlike many commentators, Bower has built a reputation over decades by writing detailed investigations into powerful public figures. His books have examined major business leaders, media figures, and influential personalities. Because of that history, his claims often receive close scrutiny from both supporters and critics alike. In Betrayal, Bower includes a chapter focused on William and his future relationship with Harry. According to Bower's reporting, William could take a very firm approach once he becomes king. The book discusses the possibility of royal titles being reviewed and suggests that even Harry and Meghan's children could be affected. These claims have attracted attention because Bower states they are based on information from sources connected to senior royal circles, including current and former aides. Whether those predictions ultimately prove accurate remains uncertain, but they have added even more fuel to the ongoing debate surrounding the future of the monarchy and the Sussexes. Some royal commentators believe this could be one of the most significant claims made about the monarchy in recent years. What makes Tom Bower's account stand out is that it does more than discuss the possibility of future action. It also claims to identify when the decision was supposedly made. According to Bower's sources, William reportedly decided not to invite Harry to his future coronation during the period surrounding the late Queen's funeral events. The book suggests this was not a temporary reaction or emotional moment, but a position that has remained unchanged ever since. Bower also explores the reasons behind the reported rift. In the book, he attributes to Queen Camilla, through a palace source, the view that Meghan had strongly influenced Harry's decisions. That wording appears in Bower's reporting, and the book has been widely published and discussed since its release. Another detail from the book connects to a much larger issue. Bower writes, citing his sources, that the Sussexes face significant financial pressures and that some of their major business opportunities may not be as strong as they once appeared. That matters because the debate over royal titles is not only about status. Titles can also carry commercial value and public recognition. For public figures connected to the royal family, those titles often become part of their public identity and brand. Viewed through that lens, the discussion takes on a different meaning. If titles were ever removed, some observers argue it could affect more than royal protocol. It could also influence public perception, marketability, and future business opportunities. That is why this conversation keeps resurfacing. For many royal watchers, the issue is no longer just about family tensions. It is also about influence, visibility, and what role royal titles may continue to play in the future for Harry, Meghan, and their family. According to this interpretation, the title issue is about far more than royal rank. Some commentators argue that if titles were ever removed, the impact could extend into branding, public recognition, and future business opportunities. That is why the debate over titles and finances is often treated as one connected story rather than two separate ones. Another royal biographer who has weighed in is Andrew Lowney. Known for his work on lesser-known members of the royal family, Lowney has spent years studying the wider royal line of succession. During an interview promoting one of his books, he was asked a direct question about what William might do once he becomes king. Lowney responded by saying that William could take action against Prince Andrew and probably get rid of Harry as well. In context, he was referring to the possibility of changes involving non-working royals and their official status within the institution. He later expanded on that view, arguing that William is concerned about how the monarchy is perceived by the public. According to Lowney, William believes the institution faces challenges when controversies surrounding family members continue to dominate headlines. Lowney is not the only commentator making that case. Roya Nika, royal editor at the Sunday Times, has also spoken about William's personality and leadership style. During a radio appearance, she described him as someone who remembers disagreements and does not easily forget major conflicts. That observation has fueled ongoing discussion about William's relationship with Harry. Over the years, several public disputes and highly publicized moments have shaped perceptions of the brothers' relationship. From interviews and media appearances to disagreements reported by royal authors, many of those events remain part of the wider royal conversation today. As a result, some biographers argue that William takes a long-term view of these issues and rarely changes course once his mind is made up. Whether that assessment is fair or not, it has become a recurring theme in books and interviews discussing his future reign. For many listeners, that is why William's radio appearance attracted so much attention. Some believe the interview offered clues about where he stands, while others saw nothing more than a relaxed conversation. Either way, people were left analyzing not only what was said, but also what was left unsaid. The situation becomes even more interesting when looking at the wider royal picture. The monarchy is not centered around just one figure right now. King Charles remains on the throne, and reports have suggested that he has continued to maintain some level of communication with Harry. One widely reported meeting at Clarence House drew particular attention because it marked a rare father and son conversation after a long period of distance between them. According to several reports, King Charles has been quietly supporting efforts to improve relations within the royal family. Much of the attention has focused on Theo Rycroft, the King's deputy private secretary and a former diplomat, often linked by royal correspondence to the reported Project Thaw initiative. Reports have suggested that senior aides have been involved in behind-the-scenes discussions aimed at easing tensions. Meetings between representatives connected to both the King and Harry have fueled speculation that some form of communication has continued, even if much of it remains private. Observers also pointed to a notable coincidence involving public events on the same day. Harry had an essay published in the New Statesman addressing anti-Semitism, while King Charles visited Golders Green to meet individuals affected by an anti-Semitic incident. The timing immediately sparked discussion among royal watchers. When questions were raised about whether the two events had been coordinated, reports indicated that Harry's team denied any direct coordination. However, it was also noted that the article had been prepared days earlier, leaving room for continued speculation about the sequence of events. Taken together, these developments led some commentators to argue that Charles and Harry appeared to be moving cautiously toward better relations. Whether that interpretation is accurate remains a matter of debate, but it has become a recurring theme in recent royal coverage. Then attention shifts back to William. During the same period, he remained focused on his public duties and personal engagements. After celebrating Aston Villa's European success, he appeared on a major radio program where he spent hours discussing family life, football, music, and everyday experiences. What stood out to many listeners was not what William said, but what he did not say. Throughout the interview, no mention was made of Harry, Meghan, or their children. For royal observers already following reports from various biographers, that silence became part of a much larger conversation. This is where the competing narratives collide. Some reports suggest Charles is interested in rebuilding bridges, while several biographers have argued that William may take a much firmer approach in the future. Whether those predictions prove accurate remains unknown, but they continue to shape discussion about the monarchy's next chapter. Caught in the middle of all these competing stories is Harry himself, whose position remains one of the most closely watched aspects of the ongoing royal saga. Many royal watchers see Harry's situation as unusually complicated. Reports have suggested that King Charles remains interested in improving family relations, while claims from several biographers point to a much tougher approach from William in the future. Even if efforts to rebuild ties between Charles and Harry succeed, some commentators argue that the long-term picture may be less certain. Their reasoning is simple. The monarchy will eventually pass to William, and several authors have claimed that his views on the family dispute are very different from his father's. That is why so much attention has been placed on public signals rather than official statements. In royal circles, observers often focus not only on what is said, but also on what is left unsaid. Supporters of this view argue that the royal family frequently communicates through small gestures, decisions, appearances, and omissions. A declined invitation, a missing appearance, or an absent name can sometimes spark as much discussion as a formal announcement. That brings many people back to William's radio interview. Over several hours, he spoke warmly about family, football, music, and personal memories. He mentioned his wife, his children, and the late Queen. Yet Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet were not mentioned at all. For those already following reports from biographers such as Tom Sykes, Tom Bower, and Andrew Lowney, that omission stood out. These writers have all suggested that William could take significant action regarding royal titles in the future, although those claims remain unconfirmed. As a result, listeners have reached very different conclusions. Some believe the interview revealed nothing unusual. Others see the missing names as a meaningful signal. Either way, the discussion continues because people are still debating whether the silence was simply incidental or something much more deliberate. So here is the key thing to remember when this story reaches its next major chapter. One day, headlines will announce that a new king has taken the throne and begun making his first major decisions. When that moment arrives, many people will look back at this interview and wonder whether the signs were already there. For nearly 3 hours, William spoke openly and warmly about the people closest to him. He talked with genuine affection about Catherine, praising her as an amazing mum and an amazing wife, while acknowledging the challenges she has faced. He shared stories about his children, laughed about everyday family moments, and reflected on memories of the late Queen. Listeners heard details about school life, music, family traditions, and even the Queen's preference when it came to cream and jam on a scone. The conversation felt personal, relaxed, and remarkably human. Yet for many royal observers, the most talked about part of the interview was not what was said, it was what was missing. Throughout the entire broadcast, Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet were never mentioned.
It went really well, and she wanted to go and do lots of research. She spends God knows how much time now looking through all the paperwork. She's a proper pro on early years, and so most evenings I'm fighting to get past in the bedroom all the paperwork that she's got lined up ready to read. So I'm so pleased it went well for her, and I think she came back buzzing.
So it's a lovely insight, isn't it, to their life and how Catherine really does her work even in the bedroom. But they discuss the serious aspect of it, how tough the cancer diagnosis was, where William emotionally admitted the family just couldn't cope without.
That absence immediately caught the attention of those who had been following claims from royal biographers. Tom Sykes, Tom Bower, and Andrew Lowney have all suggested that William could take a far tougher stance toward the Sussexes in the future, particularly when it comes to royal titles. Those claims remain unconfirmed, but the interview added fresh fuel to the debate. Whether you see the silence as meaningful or completely ordinary, one thing is clear: people are still talking about it. And in royal stories, the moments that spark the biggest discussions are often the ones that leave room for interpretation. What do you think? Was William sending a message, or are people reading too much into a simple radio interview? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss the latest royal news, analysis, and updates. Thanks for watching.